I'm actually gonna record this. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Money Talk with Gary G. Money himself and me, Anna Swee. So we're just kind of setting things up here. I am going to actually put this live on my Facebook and Gary's Facebook. I'll tag you. And in the interim, I just want to welcome you all in, and I know more folks are going to hop in. We're having a really special talk today, and Gary and I were just talking behind the scenes, and we are totally going to just kind of like bear all, right? In like the, I guess, like the philosophical, metaphorical sense of pricing and just like our time in the industry, which has been a while. How long have you been in the coaching world, Gary?
So for me, I did training in 2011, and then I started with clients at the tail end of 2011. So it's 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. 10 years. I'm like 8.5 years. So I feel like in coaching terms, that's a long time. It's like probably like dog years, something like that.
I'd agree. It
Yeah.
seems like forever.
Yes. So, okay, I'm seeing that we're here. We're going live. And before we get started, can we just do a brief intro? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll let you
Yay.
kick it off.
Well, thank you, Gary. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Anna Swee. I wrote the book Shadow Magic. It's like right there. I bought most of the copies of the book. And I help people with their genius. And I see some of my folks here, and I'm actually going to leave a link to me somewhere in this post for those of you who want to connect with me and your genius. And so I actually worked with Gary, hired Gary as my coach. As we say, that stock has appreciated, that stock price has appreciated. And I see and feel Gary in my life very often, actually. And so that's why I'm so happy to have this conversation with him. And Gary, can you just tell us a little bit, people who don't know you, what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Gary. I live in Vancouver. I usually am a citizen of the world, but right now with COVID, I'm a citizen of Vancouver. So I'm pretty much here. I'm a coach. So life, business, relationships, leadership, basically all the things that have been important in my life and that I've got career capital in from 28 years in the manufacturing business, and then leaving that to follow my dreams, and then the last 10 years in coaching. But really what I do is I'm forever back home, and I just help everyone I meet come back home to themselves as if for the very first time. It's really what I'm about.
Yeah. And as I get further along in my years, that's really the most important thing I realize. All the stuff that like I was chasing before, it's really to come back home. So there we are. So here we are together. And so I want to just like start off, like, let's just like put it all on the table. So let's talk about pricing and money. And some folks have sent me some of their questions. For those of you who are here on Zoom with us, feel free to type in questions as we flow. And I'll check Facebook too in a little bit to see if there's any questions. But we want to be able to like answer your questions. Like this is kind of like the goal of this conversation is just to kind of get it out in the open, right? This mysterious thing around pricing and like how to price and is it worth it and all of the, because you and I, Gary, we're kind of in the higher end, would you say, of pricing? I don't know, like what's your pricing like, Gary?
If you go to my website, and it's pretty representative, it's what I do runs from $5,000 to $100,000 US per engagement. There are several ways people can work with me, but most of them are bespoke. They're really catered to what the person I am with wants to create. So for me, if someone's in my life a great deal of the time in a year or just over a year, that'll be $100,000. And what I do with them will be far more intimate, far more together than otherwise. So that's where it is.
Oh, I love that. So you guys heard that straight from Gary's mouth. How's the internet, Gary? Can you hear me? Can you guys, it's frozen over here. Can you guys see? I think Gary froze. Yeah, I think Gary froze too. So we'll see if Gary comes back. Oh, I'm seeing Queenette. I'm seeing Craig, Jennifer, hello. Gary's frozen. Oh, it's because Canada is so cold right now. His internet totally froze. But I'll share with you my pricing. It's changed in the years, but right now, what I charge for my coaching is $30,000 for 6 months, or we do a half-day intensive for $3,000. And very similar to Gary, it's a creative basis, right? It's like, yes, I do genius work, but I see the core of everything as genius work. So I see people who are wanting to create this in their business, whether it be like a high-end signature program, or they really want to show up in the world at the cadence, at the caliber that they're meant to show up, that feels really natural for them, that they can run at the level that they're meant to run and be the person that they're meant to be. That's what we work on. So that's kind of like the core foundation of what I do. And I'm really glad that we can get the pricing out there, because I think that we don't talk about pricing enough. And I'm just going to make sure Gary's okay. We don't talk about pricing enough. And I know that there's different schools of thought. Let me just message Gary. I know that there are different schools of thought on, should I make my pricing private, right? Do any of you have those questions? Like, should I make my pricing private? Should I tell people? Should I kind of have a bunch of different offerings, right? And really, what is it about the high-end offerings? Like, what is it about what I do and what Gary does that makes it worth this number? Is it worth this number, right? So we're going to have those conversations. Guys, I think Gary got abducted, because maybe he's resetting his modem. He's not even on here. I'm just going to pause the recording real quick.